started. I really love to see the audience in here. This makes my heart really proud that we must be doing something right, because almost every week, every month, we have a standing room only. So thanks for coming tonight. Relax, sit back, and enjoy the show. I always like to start out with a little moment of silence and just kind of reflect on the past things this school system has done, and not only the system, but things that you've done in your life that's needed reflection, and especially going forward, that we kind of give a praise to the teachers and the administrators and the principals and everybody in our school system, and mainly especially for the kids. So just take a moment of silence, and then after that we'll have the pledge. Thank you very much. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call roll.
Caruso.
Here.
Daniel.
Here.
Dryden.
Here.
Hartsfield.
Here.
Jacobs.
Here.
Mabry. Neidert.
Here.
Rochelle. Weathers.
Here.
7 present, 2 absent.
We have a quorum, and thank you very much. First of all, on the recognition tonight is we have 2 retired educators. First one is presented by me, and the next one is presented by Miss Brenda. And I'll go ahead and go first. I'll go ahead and come up here. I won't need the mic because I'm. But anyway, it's always a pleasure to do this every month. And speaking from all the board members, we sometimes have a difficult task of doing this because there's so many outstanding educators and so many outstanding retired educators. So it's our pleasure to every month to recognize an outstanding retiree from the system. And tonight, mine was supposed to be last month, and I got made it to this month. And actually, to tell you the truth, it's just hard to pick. So coming up to them 4 minutes, well, I'll just go postmark. So in this month, I thought about it and said, who better to pick that somebody that taught me how to be a good board member and also a good, respectable person in the community. So I picked them both. I picked Sharon and Larry Davis. So if any of you have been down south at the end of that area, know the Davises. Okay? Outstanding family. So I picked them. I said, well, I can't just pick Larry. I can't just pick Sharon, so I picked them both. So congratulations to both. They're an outstanding person. And I'll go over a little bit of details, but if I sit here and go everything I know, I'll be up for an hour. So Sharon is a graduate of Middle Tennessee State University and Tennessee State University. She attended English County Elementary and graduated from Warren County High School. She was hired in the system in August 1975 at Loretta Elementary. Then it consolidated to South Lawrence, which opened in 85 and 86 school year. She taught 4th grade. And out behind, and this is kind of embarrassing, but she taught in Porter. Is that correct? Back then, way back then, we had Porter. Now, we don't mention Porter. About halfway through her teaching career, she moved to 7th grade and taught reading and language arts. She said her her daughter said her favorite students was her troubled students, and I can see that. So, she had a special teaching in her heart for troubled students. But, who doesn't? If all the teachers were, I'll stop there. But troubled students are special to most teachers, but as all of us students are. And she also kept scorebooks for baseball, softball, basketball for many years. She finally retired in May of 15 with 40 years. 40 years. That's nowadays unheard of. So as you can tell, Sharon was very, very much in the system and loved what she did. And going on for Larry graduated from Columbia State Community College, Middle Tennessee State University, and University of North Alabama. He attended Henry Bull Elementary in Summertown, Illinois, and graduated from Summertown High School. Larry was hired in August of '75 at Loretta Elementary School and transitioned to South Lawrence. He taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade in 1997 through 1998. Then he became assistant principal at South Lawrence until 2003. In 2004, he became the director of the schools until he served to 2007. And then after that, he went back to assistant principal in Leoma Elementary until he retired in 2014. He coached elementary basketball, girls and boys, high school softball, high school baseball, and assisted high school girls basketball. So not only was he an outstanding teacher, outstanding assistant principal, outstanding director, and coach as well. And then after retired, after 40 years, he said, I'm going to keep doing it. So in 2014, he was elected to the school board and again in 2018. And finally, retiring all of it in 2022. Is that correct? So again, his adult life, I've advocated, as I said, with teaching, coaching, director, assistant principal, and all of those things. So, and other than that, he was Citizen of the Year and highly respected in the community. So, without further ado, and I hate that Sharon's not here, but she's here in our hearts, and I'd like to congratulate Mr. Larry Davis.
I'm probably going to be the first to get embarrassed by running out from under me.
Say anything without leaving, so go ahead. You have anything to offer?
Well, I just want to say that we're both honored by being nominated. And it's a very humbling experience. Just like you said, there's so many. This is a blessed system of wonderful people. And I told you earlier in the hall, Jeremy, I don't feel like that in 80 years together we work today because we love our kids. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Oh, I got a question. If you're willing to admit it, and you're you're a former student of mine. I just noticed when I was standing up there, there's several of you.
Boy, that's going way back. Our next recognition tonight is Miss Brenda Jacobs.
My recognition tonight is Mr. Andy Augustine, and I don't think I can do justice telling about his accomplishments. So I've invited 3 of his former teachers that he worked with to come up and present.
Andy, you ready?
Must be a rose.
I'm only going to, right?
All right, Mr. Augustine, we're so excited to honor you tonight. So I'll begin with some biographical things about you. Mr. Augustine spent 39 years in education. He taught 7th and 8th grade at Liberty Grove Elementary School. And then he taught every science course that the Tennessee Department of Education gives credit for at Loretta High School. He also taught supercomputing and yearbook. He was also our principal at Loretta High School for the 2 longest years of his life. And we were talking about this on the way up here, and we were thinking that those might have been 2 of the longest years of our lives too. So, just kidding. But Mr. Augustine, Mr. Augustine, he has cooked for us. He's encouraged students. All 3 of us are former students. He has performed in skits where we all learned that inanimate objects cannot be stupid, but people can. As a teacher, Mr. Augustine both challenged and inspired his students. He was always fair and consistent. In fact, Mr. Augustine, I initially majored in chemistry in college. It didn't work out. I'm an English teacher now, but I majored in chemistry in part to your influence as a teacher and an educator. As an educator, I mean, your sense of humor, your sarcasm, it always made LHS and your students in your classes just a little bit cooler, 98.5 degrees in fact. But we look forward to spending time with him because he believed in us, and his kindness and influence stretched beyond the classroom. I think if you talk to anyone who teaches with us at Loretta High School, we'll talk about how much we miss your presence there. Especially your presence during homecoming week for us 3, because we need help building the floats. But we do miss you, and Mr. Augustine is a wonderful cook. He cooked Puerto Rican food for us, mojo pork, and we're just very happy to honor you tonight, Mr. Augustine. Thank you for being such a great teacher to us.
And I would like to preface this by saying I rushed home, got off the bus, ran in the house and changed clothes because in my mind I thought in those 39 years there might have been 3 days maybe that Andy didn't wear a tie, and I felt like I should wear a tie tonight, and then he walks in without one. Anyway, a few of the accolades that I would like to mention. In 2006, Andy was awarded the Foundation for Rural Education and Development Teacher of the Year. That same year, he also received the Joseph B. Whitehead Educator of Distinction. From 2006 to 2008, he was an educational consultant for PBS, the Public Broadcasting Services. And in 2012, he was on the Tennessee Department of Education Teacher Licensing Review Committee for Chemistry. I'd like to talk to you just a little bit about, of course, he was my teacher, but he was also my mentor. Andy is one of the reasons I love to teach. He instilled in me a love for my students and my school. He and I worked together to form the Cool Teacher Corner, and by doing that, we got to show our kids each day how much we cared about them. We spent countless hours painting and rearranging, remodeling our school at LHS, and he and I were also the LHS weather team. We were always keeping our eye on the radar to keep our students safe. I often hear his voice echoing in my head when I'm trying to make a day-to-day decision, and often things come out of my mouth and I'll think, that sounds just like something Andy Augustine would have said, and I know I should hang my head in shame for that, but I actually wear it like a badge of honor.
also a former student, a former colleague, and I'm glad to say that Andy is not only those two things, but he is also my friend. He was in 2011 to 2015, he was part of the National Science Foundation Master Teaching Fellow. In 2015, it's the Tennessee Academy of Science Distinguished Secondary Science Teacher Award. 2019, American Chemical Society High School Teacher of the Year. 2019, University of Chicago Educator of Distinction. 2020, Cabinets to Go Secondary School Chair of Excellence. And when I hear all this, I think, what am I done with my life? Like, geez. I'll just tell you, I had Mr. Augustine. I still catch myself calling him Mr. Augustine. Can't quite call him Andy all the time, but I had him for 9th grade physical science. I still remember making my, was it the BOE model? I remember that. Remember, he used to wear a red tie. Kelly remembers that when we were having a quiz. But we always had fun in his class, and we always learned. But as a friend, Andy has numerous great qualities. One of my favorites is his quick wit and his sarcasm. That's one reason that we're such good friends, I think. I never really appreciated that until we were co-workers. And we've shared a lot of laughs. A lot of those were during in-service or faculty meetings at the wrong times. But, you know, we have things that are just only a few of us know, like the BDS and the BDDA and things such as that, that we won't share in here, but he knows what I'm talking about. He's been there throughout my career when I needed just to talk to somebody, just have a sounding board. He was always there to listen. He's always honest, and he's going to speak his mind, even if it's something you don't want to hear. That's probably another reason we're friends, because he's able to do that, and I've been accused of doing that myself. So I know that he's somebody I can trust. If I tell him anything, he's not going to tell anybody, and sometimes that's hard to find sometimes in your boss and your colleagues. I've never once seen him compromise his integrity, and I admire that immensely. He's more than worthy of this recognition, and we'd just like to say congratulations to our teacher, our mentor, and our friend. This is very well deserved. Also forgot to tell you, he's also my neighbor.
My dog barks every time they go out there.
And my dog barks at his goat. That's great. All right.
And like Larry, if you were one of my kids, would you raise your hand? I see you. Thank y'all.
Congratulations, guys. Our next on tonight is a student recognition, and the first one up is Leona Elementary, Miss Kathy Burns.
Bringing mine up here with me. I want you to see her beautiful smile. Can you smile at them? Yeah? Can you turn and smile at them? See how pretty she looks today. This is my good friend, Miss Kirsten McDowell. She's a second grader at Leoma School, and she began at Leoma School in our pre-K special education class taught by Miss Stacy Brazier, back there in the back. Kirsten is simply put a miracle child, okay? In her short little life, she's been hospitalized 36 times for visits ranging from 5 days to 46 days in length. She's been emergency transported a total of 19 ambulance rides and 3 air transport. She has had 32 surgeries, 5 bone marrow biopsies, and 218 blood product transfusions. As I stated before, it is simply a miracle that she is here and she is able to attend school. Kirsten is fully included in the general education program with minimal resource pull-out services. Has every day been easy? No. We laugh about it. Her parents, we laugh about it often. Not every day has been easy. But with the very special help of her gen ed teachers, her special education teachers, the assistants, and her parents, Kirsten is learning and making steady progress. Some things like math are really hard, but she is learning to read, and even on a recent trip, instead of buying toys, she bought books. The driving force behind Kirsten are her parents and her sister. They don't let up on expectations, and they drive for making Kirsten as independent as she can possibly be. Kirsten is fully capable of learning in the gen ed program and navigating around our school. She is very social, and she loves all aspects of school. She frequently meets and greets from the car window before the car even stops. Hi, wild woman! Don't you say that, Kirsten? Do you say that to Miss Reedy? Yeah. She's being shy. Kirsten, everybody in school knows Kirsten, and hugs in the hallway are frequent. The family has a support group called Kirsten's Keepers where they raise money for their buddy walk team and for any support that Kirsten needs in school. They have participated in 9 buddy walks, and Kirsten participates in buddy ball, great ball player, and she thrives on personal and positive reinforcement. Kirsten loves school, and she has many friends and frequently calls her teachers her best friends. These ladies, and I want to ask them to stand. Miss Brazier, Miss Kelly Self, Miss Katie Jewell, Miss Judy Marcus, Miss Patty Cruz couldn't be here tonight, and Miss Mandy Glass, as well as those in the special ed department, Miss Sonia Hood and Miss Kayla, are true difference makers. Inclusion may not work for every child, but it is definitely working for Miss Kirsten. I present Miss Kirsten McDowell along with her mom, Christy McDowell, her mamba, Paula McDowell, and her sister, Chloe McDowell. We got a Sonic card.
That's why we do this.
It really is. This thing's gonna go rolling.
We'll do the family and then
Oh my goodness. Are you ready? One more time. We're ready. 1, 2. I put too much on the today and yours out. Okay, one more time. No,
I want to say that Ms. Burns was congratulating all the teachers and have great parents, but it's also when you have great administrators. And I always try to suck up to this in Ms. Burns' society. But when you have administrators that are also great and have the same point of view. Good, everybody in?
Yes, ma'am. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Our next recognition is South Lawrence, Shannon Snyder.
Okay, our South Lawrence Student of the Month is a fourth grader, listen to me, first grader, he acts like a fourth or even older, that's why he's here with me, Logan Stringer. Typically, we recognize students for more specific achievements, an academic achievement, athletic achievement, but we decided to do something a little bit different, and that is why I chose Logan. We have really been trying to put a focus at South Lawrence on not only their academics, but the person that they are becoming. And Logan inspires us all because he is what we envision that all of our students be. And when you're seeing how small he is, you may be thinking, really? But really, that is the truth. He is exactly what our goal is for all of our boys and girls. He is extremely respectful and kind to everyone that he meets, every adult, every child. He uses phrases like, yes ma'am, no ma'am, please and thank you as part of his regular vocabulary. And to me, with our recent generation, that is unfortunately a lost art. Not for this young man. If you speak to him, he is going to show you utmost respect at all times. He is a role model to his peers. He shows them respect, and in return, he gets their respect. And I have a story that I want to share that he probably just thought was part of his day, but that was super, super sweet, and that multiple adults in our building came to share with me. They were working in a small group, and it was he and a couple other classmates, and the couple other classmates were having a little bit of trouble working as they were expected to be working. And you could tell that it was bothering him that they weren't. So very kindly, he tried to tell them and redirect them to get busy and finish their work, but he was very kind in doing so. Well, when he asked them to, and they did not resume working, he politely moved over to them and again quietly told them that we were going to have to change this arrangement because it wasn't working. And he asked one of his classmates to move to a different spot in the room. And you would have probably thought, just hearing the story, that an argument was going to break out. But because of the role model that he is all the time, there were no complaints from the other student at all. He simply got his belongings. He relocated himself, and amazingly, that new arrangement worked. All children stopped to decide talk, got back on task. There were no disagreements. He had everything taken care of all on his own without any adult intervention. And he does things like that all of the time for us. He shows everybody respect. He shows everyone kindness. And he is also very, very strong academically, which is also an example that he is for his peers. And one thing that he does that makes us all so, so very proud is he has great confidence in himself, so much that if he is not okay with what the crowd is doing, he does not just agree and go along with that. He stops and he's true to himself. He is not a follower. He is a leader, making the right choices. So I hope at some point you all have the opportunity to personally meet Logan, because he is a pleasure. He makes South Lawrence and everywhere that he visits a very bright place, and we are super proud to have him represent us as our SLS Student of the Month.
Thank you, guys. I think that's what this thing's all about, is recognition of our students and everybody that makes a big difference in our system. Before I move on, does any board member have anything to add or delete from the agenda tonight? Very well. Consent items, we have A through E. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve A through E.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries A through E. Moving on to items number 2, report items, school report, and Miss Kathy Burns with Leoma Elementary School. Ms. Burns, thank you.
Hi, I won't take very long at all. You should see on your table, I think I put at each one of your places a copy of our data that I wanted to review with you. First of all, we are having the best year. It is so nice to finally have what I call a normal year outside of COVID, that we can actually do things again. And it's just been a great year. Currently, based on our TVOS scores from last year, Leoma was rated a level 4 school. You can see in that first table that I put our composite score, our literacy score, numeracy, and science scores. Those numbers in parentheses are our last year's score. You can see how we rated based on the Lawrence County school system. And we have gone down in some areas, but we were still rated a level 4 school, which we were very proud of. On the next table, those were our growth scores. Again, the previous year is in parentheses. And you see that many more of those are bold than not, because the bolded scores were improvement scores. So you can see that, especially like in 5th grade ELA, we went from a 3 to a level 5. In 6th grade ELA, from a level 3 to a level 4. And you can look through there and see all those improvements that we made, which we had more improvements than not. So that was something we were really proud of. That bottom table, I had to just cut and paste because there was no way I could duplicate that. But if you'll look at those dashes with the number beside, it says 190, 425, 27, 40, and on up. You can see the grade level at the top. These are Lexile measures as measured by Achieve 3000. And if you'll look, the 520, you can see that in 3rd grade, our average Lexile is above the what is considered to be on track by the end of the year for college and career level, college and career ready. So we are really especially proud of that one, especially with our 3rd grade. We have really put a lot of emphasis in our 3rd grade this year, and you understand why. But we are offering after-school tutoring just for our 3rd graders this year to really improve that. So we have more than half of our kids that are involved in that. So we're real proud of that. I'm also very proud of our 7th and 8th grade. That's where we have seen the most reading growth this school year. You'll see that our 7th grade is there. They are also above the 970 Lexile, showing that more than half of our kids are ready for college and career. That's an average. And our 8th grade needs, 15 points Lexile, and we'll be above for college and career ready. The numbers that I've written at the bottom is the amount of growth that each grade level has had. So we were very Achieve 3000 has been an excellent program for us. I hope it's something our county can continue to keep. It's been a great program. If you'll flip over on the back, this is based on our STAR reading. Currently in first grade, 46% are above the 50th percentile, but I want you to look at that number in parentheses. Last year, and this was still, we were reeling from COVID, but last year, at the end of the year in May, our first graders were at 33%. We were disheartened by that. But if you'll look below, the darker number in January of second grade, that same cohort of students are now at 53% above the 50th percentile. Now, that's not where we want it to be, obviously, but we've made tremendous, that's 20 percentile points for that cohort of students from May to January, which I think is huge. That's the way you read all of these down. You'll notice that the higher grades, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, don't seem to have the growth. This is STAR. While the data is good data, it is a one-time test that students get the idea that the better I do on the STAR test, the higher my goal is going to be and the more work I'm going to have to do, because it's based on AR. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders don't want that high goal. They don't want to have to read a lot more, so they don't try as hard. I'm just going to be honest with you, and that's what we see with STAR. The younger kids haven't figured that out yet, okay? They haven't figured that out yet, so they do put a lot more emphasis on that. So it's not unusual to see those kind of scores at the middle grade, because they just don't want that high goal. The next part there in the middle, Ames Webb, K3. In the fall, the number of students requiring intervention at the 25th percentile or below in reading was 85 students in K and 3. That's how many we had, and that includes SPED students. At the winter benchmark in January, 65 are below the 25th percentile. It's, again, more than we want, but it shows that we have moved 20 students out of intervention, which out of the 85 we're real pleased with. Enrollment, this big conversation I had with Mr. Adkins yesterday. Currently, we have 561 students at Leoma School. That is an increase of almost 30 students net gain since August. Now that we've got kids that leave, we've got kids that come in. We leave, we come in. But it's a net gain of 30 students that we have increased since August. Since Monday, as of tomorrow afternoon, we will have increased 9 more. We have enrolled 9 students this week. That's a lot of kids, and they are all in zone. We are closed to outside this time of year. That is a huge increase at Little Old Leoma. I don't have space for that.
What grades?
All. I'm getting a kindergarten and 4th grader tomorrow. We enrolled a 3rd and a 7th grader yesterday. We had 4 come in on Monday from Utah. They're coming in, they're all buying land, they're buying right there in the Leoma district. It's nobody I can say, sorry, we're full. But that is a huge increase, and I really wanted to make sure that I shared that with you all today. That's 9 this week. Chronic absenteeism continues to be a problem. This year, this would be last year's data with 476. You can look, and we had 432 right after COVID. We went from 476, and right now I'm sitting at 561. That's the difference in just 3 years that we have of an enrollment. 76 students last year were considered chronically absent. That is 16%, which is double almost the year before. But with doctor notes, I can't do a lot. I can't do a lot when they're sick and they're bringing in doctor notes and they're bringing them in. That is something we are working on daily with the parent meetings and contracts and follow-ups. But attendance continues to be a huge issue even after COVID. I think another big issue that I'm seeing, and I think any principal would agree with me, is student apathy. Student apathy is a huge hurdle that we are having to jump and deal with just about every day. Couple of exciting things. Our robotics team went to the state level in Cookeville. We're real proud of that. We've started a new club with Miss Martha's help, Kids for Kindness. It began in February. Just like South Lawrence, we're also pushing the kind of person that you are inside. And I tell kids all the time, and yes, I say this, I will confess, the kind of person you are is more important to me than your grades. And I tell kids that. I said it from the intercom. Grades are important. Grades are very important. But it's more important to me the kind of person and the kind of heart that you have. We have 69 kids in chorus. Capturing Kids' Hearts has been a great success for us, and we have 34 students that have been paired with a mentor pal this school year. So we're really excited about that. Any questions? Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Ms. Burns. Next school report is Lawrence, South Lawrence. And Ms. Snyder, once again.
I have to lower the microphone every time because I'm so short. I want to start with academic highlights. You do not have a paper in front of you. I only have a paper in front of me. I'm happy to share it with anyone that would like it, but I'll just have it for speaking purposes. On the overall school report card, we receive an achievement, a growth, and a chronic absenteeism score. I think I'm loud enough. Can everyone hear me?
You're good.
Yep.
Okay. Our achievement was a 4, which is an A. Our growth was also a 4, which is an A. Our chronic absenteeism, as Ms. Burns referenced, it was a 3, which is a B. Not what we would like for it to be, but it also could definitely be worse. And we feel at this point like ours is going to be better this year than what it was last year. But all of the things that she referenced are things that plague us across the district, I feel like. And then on our TFOS growth, it's a different scale. Instead of a 1 to 4, it is a 1 to 5. Our overall composite was a 4. Our literacy was a 3. Our numeracy was a 5. And our literacy numeracy was also a 5. So we are proud of our accomplishments and working hard to continue more. The area that we would like to see grow more is to do with our percentage that meet and exceed expectations, or what was formerly called on track and mastered. We did have progress in all subject areas. Our ELA was at a 39.9, and that was up from a 29.8. So even though 39.9 is not what we would like for it to be, we did make a 10% jump. Math was up from 33.6 to 43.8. Science from 35.9 to 31.6. And social studies from 41.3 to 53.8. But that has more so been our area of emphasis this year, is not only showing growth, but also showing that our students are meeting or exceeding expectations. We do feel like that we are still seeing increases in reading fluency and reading comprehension, and we feel like that will indirectly impact all of our subject areas. We're continuing to grow our book buddies, which is where our older grade students read with our lower grade, and we feel like that helps upper and lower. We have had a tremendous increase in participation in our Millionaires Club, which is to do with the number of words read. We already have more students that have reached the millionaire mark, actually by Christmas, than we did by the end of the year last year. So we have started a Books in Hands initiative, and it's not anything downing the Chromebooks, but we feel like if they have actual books in hands, that's going to increase their reading fluency, comprehension, which is going to make their overall literacy stronger. So we are continually, telling the students, if you have a spare minute, We don't want to see your Chromebook. We want to see a book in your hand, talking about their library book. Also, we are we had already started last year, and I had it in my presentation. We had really started working to increase student conferencing, but feeling like that would increase student ownership. And so when I got ready to do this year's report, I was extra pleased because now not only is that a goal for us at South Lawrence, but that has become a district level goal. So it's kind of like we are right in line with what they are envisioning for us as a district, and we're pushing that. So we're wanting to continue to push that. Several teams academically that have made us really proud this year. Our robotics team did not necessarily place as we would like for them to have to, but every category they showed progress from last year. So we felt like that was a huge accomplishment. Our drone team actually qualified for nationals, and it being the first year that we have done that competitively. We were very proud of those students. Also this year in the spelling bee, the top 2 students in the overall spelling bee were both from South Lawrence, so we were especially proud of that. And then academic trips that we are taking, they're not directly funded by you guys. There are donors that make donations, but I do just feel like you need to know that I feel like these are great opportunities. Our 5th grade goes to JA BizTown, and our 8th grade goes to JA Finance Park. And those are basically real life simulations of how life works in adulthood. And it's fresh on my mind because our 5th grade just actually went yesterday. And one of the teachers was sharing that it was just, she thought it was a cute story, but she also thought it was a great description of how it's real. She said she was walking around monitoring, and one of the little guys turned around and said, Miss Christie, my card has insufficient funds. And she said she went, welcome to my world. So, but then she talked him through, well, did you get your check? Did you go deposit your check? All of the steps. So that is something, and it is very costly. So I'm very appreciative of the people that make that happen for our students. But I do feel like in a rural area, those are opportunities that if we do not provide them for our students, some of them will never experience those things. So I just wanted to kind of say, let's please try to continue that if we possibly can. And the thing about it is they're learning so much, but they have a blast, and they do not even realize that they're learning. You would think that they went to an amusement park yesterday, the way they came back talking, but really they gained all kinds of knowledge. So, and then so far as a couple of facility highlights I want to mention, because you all always do play a large part in that. One is we are still a year later celebrating our parking lot, so thank you, and thank you again. I still frequently get compliments on the parking lot that now really is no longer new. But I just want you to know that was definitely a huge improvement. And one of the complaints or criticisms that we had for a really long time was to do with the heating and cooling in our gym. Our new system is working properly, with the exception of a little glitch in lightning, which no one can help. But that's going to be fixed, and we're going to be good as new. We are excited, hoping that our lobby and our concession stand will more easily be able to hook onto that now, because there still isn't heating and cooling in those areas. But I've been told that that is going to be worked out. And also, you all assisted last year, and we have a completely newly resurfaced and repainted gym floor. All kinds of compliments. We did that. We were able to add all kinds of things, not only for our sports program, but also for our PE. So they're able to offer things that they have not been able to offer our students before, like in the way of foursquare and shuffleboard and ladders and just different things like that. And we're also excited that there are still areas we need to grow with our cameras, but we now do have working cameras. So plugging away at getting those in the locations that we need, but again, thank you for that. And then just of the things that it was funny, because when she was talking, I was like, I was going to say that. Capturing kids' hearts has really, that has really been a positive, and we're already knowing things that we haven't done this year that we're wanting to grow and improve as far as next year in regard to that. We did change our school colors. That had been something that people were continually expressing, wanting to align feeder school to high school. We did make that change, and that has worked really well. We're super excited about all of the tutoring opportunities that we're able to afford our students with the additional funding that we have been receiving. Lots of outreach programs that we're proud of. We have started coordinating the Angel Tree for the South End, and that is working wonderfully. Several food drives, Red Sand Project, just different things that we feel like positively impact our kids, whether it's that they're benefiting it or that they're learning to help others. We still are keeping our focus on character and social emotional, but we haven't really put new things in place for that this year. We're just trying to continue the things that we have been doing. And that is all, unless any of you all have questions. Okay,
Thank you very much, Shannon. Moving on to report item V, personnel report. Anybody have any questions or comments regarding that? Very well. Moving on to director's update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a reminder, summer school again this summer, May 30th through June 22nd. We're still recruiting teachers, drivers, food service, anyone who would like to be a part of that. We continue to make that known that we're still looking for a few more folks. Our plan is to have that at every school, as we have done in the past. Mr. Rogers and his staff and Mrs. Simpson and her staff do a wonderful job of getting our kids to and from school and fed while they're there. And our plan, again, is to have that at every school this summer. Third grade retention law, that continues to be a hot topic. I was on a 2-hour call today with the State Board of Education, and they're trying to sort out the rules for that. We hope to have more information at some point. I think the legislature is still working the details on third grade retention. It's my understanding they would like to find other options for assessment and it not solely rest on one assessment, which is something I would encourage as well, and I've voiced that to our representatives. The TISA funding model, Mrs. Elledge and I have constantly in discussion about the budget for next year, some of the things that we're wanting to do for the Lawrence County School System employees. We were told we'll get one more estimate in March that should be able to solidify what we hope to be able to do, but I will report that back to the board in the weekly updates and next month's presentation. Again, we continue to plan for the budget for this coming year, and I will share that with you. Always honored to serve the folks in the buildings. I think tonight you got to see firsthand what it's about. You go to those schools. I'm in there each week, and I get to see the great work that takes place by the dedicated men and women of the school system and the teachers who give generously of their time for our students. And Lawrence County is blessed beyond measure when it comes to the people that we have working with their kids. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Michael? Very well. Moving on to executive committees. We had two this past month. One was additional bus aid for overtime compensation, and other one, Summertown High School FFA, went to Gatlinburg for overnight. Are there any questions regarding those? Thank you. And our next one is LCEA, and I think Brenda had passed something out. I'm sorry. You're right. Is it represented from LCEA here? Very well. Moving on, and now Brenda, your desk.
Okay. I've just sent out a shortened what I got from Nashville on the third grade retention, telling where some of the things they're doing for it. And it actually went for a vote yesterday, and they passed this to the next committee. They'll just give you kind of an update of what's going on.
I could send you a copy easier than I could tell you.
Thank you, Brenda. Any questions regarding that? Moving on to next item, budget. For consideration and discussion is New Prospect School doors. Jessica, Michael?
Mr. Chairman, a part of the safety renovation that we're doing at various schools, we remodeled what was called the old wing at New Prospect School this past summer into the fall. One of the things that was left to be corrected were doors in the hallways, what we're calling interior doors. We had talked about also doing exterior at places. After meeting with Dr. Jones, she strongly recommended that we correct the interior doors. As a principal, in her recommendation, Mr. Tucker and I took that, and we will be asking the board to approve funding so that interior doors at New Prospect on the old wing can meet our standard of safety.
Move to approve.
Second.
We got a motion to approve in a second. All in favor says aye.
Aye.
All
Since we're
opposed?
spending
Is it
money.
money? Okay,
Yes,
go ahead
sir.
and call roll, please.
Mr. Crusoe?
Aye.
Daniel?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Nidert?
Yes.
Weathers?
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item B, Loretta High School Old Gym Electrical.
Mr. Chairman, this is a concern that Mr. Brown raised and some folks that have been doing work down there in I guess it'll be the back of that gymnasium where the stage is. There's some antiquated electrical wiring and boxes that need to be addressed. The workload or the load on that electrical unit runs out to the general building. It runs into CTE areas, and Mr. Brown has expressed concern with that becoming a fire hazard as more load is put on that. And so we recommend to the board that we have that work done, replaced, and so to remove any kind of potential for electrical issue or a fire.
Can I get a motion to approve?
We approve.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions regarding?
I have a question. These safety concerns, we're addressing safety issues. Can we use the ESSER funds?
Not the ESSER funds that are available to us now. Years, maybe when COVID first happened, we would have been able to do that, but the ESSER dollars now are earmarked for educational purposes only. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So what's the cost of this? Is it estimated?
I'm
or-
sorry, it's right here on the,
Okay,
it
there
may
we
be on
go,
the
there we
second
go.
page.
Thank you.
110,000.
Okay. Any further questions? Please call roll.
Weathers?
Yes.
Nidert?
Yes.
Jacobs?
Yes.
Hartsfield?
Yes.
Dryden?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
Caruso?
Yes.
7 ayes.
Motion carried. Moving on to C, Epidemiological and Laboratory Capacity Grant Additional Funding. Did I say that correct?
Well, I don't know that, that's a tough one there. That's a tough one. The ELC grant was introduced by the state as to address COVID issues, and school systems had an option to involve themselves in that, and Lawrence County did, and we were able to do a lot of good work in Lawrence County that was needed. Earlier in this year, Mrs. Golden and the school-based therapists and social workers presented to the board the work that they're doing and the positive impact that it's had. That caseload continues to climb. There continues to be needs. I think you heard that from Mrs. Burns tonight, 9 students moving into the school in 1 week. Our counselors are continuing to experience students who need our help. I asked Mrs. Golden to go and find dollars that might be available through state funding, and she did, and Lawrence County received $284,000 this week to expand our school-based therapists and social workers and to offset some other costs that we have. And so I'd ask the board to approve this ELC grant of $284,000 to address school-based therapists and social workers.
Can I motion to approve the ELC grant?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Are any questions going further?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Atkins, what happens after, so we're gonna hire 2 new social workers and therapists, correct?
Yes, sir.
This grant is gonna hire those places.
Yeah.
This grant, what happens in 2 years or whatever, when this grant is no longer there? Are we, by voting this on, are we taking on the salaries of these 2 in 2 more years?
Well, these, to answer your question, yes. With the TISA formula and the dollars that are put in there for school nurses and some other funding, that would absorb these positions. There's dollars that, through this TISA model, set aside for mental health, and I believe the governor has put some dollars aside to address those as well.
So what you're saying then is, in the budget, the funding that we're gonna be getting going forward, that we're still waiting on things to be ironed out,
Yes, sir.
it has
Yeah.
money in there.
There's dollars in there to be used for those things, and we're already ahead with the counselors that we have now, and TISA will also add dollars to that. So we feel comfortable bringing that before you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Please call roll.
Caruso,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Hartsfield,
Yes.
Jacobs.
Yes.
Nidert,
Yes.
Weathers,
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to 4 personnel items for consideration. A, additional special ed position.
And Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Moore and her staff do everything possible to address the needs of our students in the special ed services, but from time to time, there are students who need services that we were not aware of at the beginning of the school year, but through testing and the monitoring and the great work our people do, they discover that there are additional needs, and the positions that we're asking for tonight would be some special education assistance to assist some students that have been diagnosed or recognized as needing some additional services. And Mrs. Moore's here if you would like to ask her any questions about that.
That's a great need, and I'll make a motion to approve that.
We got a motion,
Second.
and do I have it in a second? Any further questions for Ms. Moore or Malcolm? Please call roll.
Weathers,
Yes.
Nidert,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Hartsfield,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Daniel,
Yes.
Caruso,
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to item 5, food service items for consideration. And you see that on your screen for bids awarded the school year 23 and 24. Ms. Kinlan.
Yes, sir. Before you have the bid summary, our commodity processing bids include diverting our bulk USDA foods to get ready to eat foods such as our chicken fillets, our peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, queso cheese, things that make it a little bit easier to use and things that the kids would actually enjoy eating. So before you have the bid summary, some of them are line items, some of them are bottom line bid. We bid with 12 other districts to increase our buying power. And I recommend going with the low bidder that meets the specifications and is considered responsive. You will note under the bid pad or the beef patties, we will have to rebid some of the line items, and I'll have that ready for you in the April meeting. Are there any questions?
Do I give a
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Are there any questions for Ms. Kinlan? Please call roll.
Caruso,
Aye.
Daniel,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Hartsfield,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Nidert,
Yes.
Weathers,
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Kinlan. Moving on to item 6 is the policies. We have 4 in consideration. Policy 1.06, Code of Ethics. Policy 1.107, Board Member Conflict of Interest. Policy 2.804, Expense and Reimbursement. And Policy 6.2011, Volunteer Pre-K Attendance. Are there any questions moving on?
Make a motion to approve A through D.
I second.
We have a motion to approve A through D. and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries by voice. Moving on to item 7, innovative school model items for consideration, discussion, and action.
Mr. Chairman, I'll have Mrs. Watson come up and present and answer any questions you have, but I advised the board last month, the month before, about innovative school dollars and some of the dollars that the governor was putting forth, and Lawrence County would receive $5.5 million for our middle schools and high schools, and Mrs. Watson has put together a plan to begin utilizing those funds. I think she's had conversations with CTE teachers, asked them things. So she's here to answer any questions you may have with the innovative school dollars and the plan going forward.
So we're real excited to be awarded these dollars, and we have talked to teachers, met with principals, and developed a plan. And I will share the full plan for the 4 years. This money is over 4 years, but they did front load the money where we can go ahead and start spending it all. We can spend it all in the first year if we wanted to. So, so these are just some items that we are getting started with in our innovative program. These are some needs that we waited specifically for these dollars to come down and be available. The grant, I got it approved and money available in November, so we're ready to spend. It just has taken a little bit longer. We did put some bids out in November and came up short with 0 people submitting anything. So I was a little more aggressive this time in reaching out to people and saying, you know, help, we've got these things that we need within our CTE programs and we really need you to bid. Please consider doing so, and this is the process. So I'm very grateful for the vendors that followed through, and we did get bids on everything this time. I met with TCAT Hohenwald yesterday, and they're having the same problem across the board. No one wants to bid on things because there's so much money out there. So trying to get bids is tough. So these are the 9 items that I'm asking for approval tonight to move forward. Some of the dollars are innovative, some of the dollars are Perkins, some of the dollars are STEM grant, and some of the dollars tonight are Spark grants. So we've got a variety of funds that tonight that we're asking for you to approve.
So do we need to take each item, or can we go all 9 of them, A through I?
I am great with you doing all 9 at one
Great.
time.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd like to move that we approve this as it has been presented.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I get a second?
Second.
We got a motion on the floor. Do I second? Are there any questions regarding any of these items that are out for bid?
I have a question, Ms. Watson.
Sure.
I think I emailed back and forth with Mr. Atkins, and I may have given you a heads up, but on the forklift, when we take that on, we're taking on a responsibility that I'm not sure the school system is used to having. There's a lot of training. Who is going to be authorized to be on these forklifts?
Well, the students are going to become certified. The whole purpose of adding the forklifts is to add the certification. So the students will be utilizing the forklift. This is going on in other school districts across the state.
Okay.
So it's nothing new to Tennessee students. Yet there will be lots of safety protocols, trust me.
I got two questions. And adding on to his, I know there's maintenance involved with forklifts, like every month to safety. Is that amongst these bids, or is that included in that, or do we do that ourselves?
Well, what I'm thankful for is it's a local person that did submit a bid, and I feel certain they will provide any maintenance that we need.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, and I questioned this on the Yukons. I know going forward, Yukons are very expensive.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other alternatives besides a $60,000, $70,000 Yukon to purchase for these high schools? In essence, maybe a van or a 8-passenger van. You see where I'm going?
Right, that is a great question. That is a great question. The reason that I decided to go that direction is because a lot of it's because of availability. Vans are so hard to find right now, and so we just felt like moving into this process that since it is easier to get a vehicle vehicle such as a Suburban or a Yukon, that's the direction we would go. They're very safe vehicles. I feel like the bids that we've received, the bid that we received is very fair, and I feel like they will definitely serve the purpose for what we need for our students.
Who gave that bid?
It was Heritage Automotive here in Lawrence County. Yes, sir.
Shannon, how was that? Was the bid description specified Yukons?
It was. Yes, sir.
It's on the screen.
Yes, sir. It was.
Oh, okay. And you only had one bidder?
Yes, sir. One.
Well, that's
So
a
is
good-
that a real,
That's a good price. That's a very good price.
Royce, getting bids right now, it's horrible. When I was in the meeting in TCAT yesterday, they're like, will you send us all the bids that you got? Because they are needing to spend money and they cannot get people to bid on things. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So it's been a stressful process to get the bids in on time and to meet the specs that we've asked for.
So are we finding that in other areas of the school, besides on equipment?
Oh, yes, sir.
Everything?
We've had problems getting bids, and we have received bids that we know were on the high end because the companies may not want to do the work, and that's understandable. We know that.
What about insurance on it and on the people that we will be driving it? I know we have to have anything.
Yeah, we will insure the vehicles pending your approval. We'll insure the forklifts, we'll insure the vehicles. All of that will be through the trust, through
the
Tennessee
trust,
Risk
it
Management.
won't be no extra money too.
Well, we will have to pay the annual premium for those pieces of equipment.
And that will include collision on
Oh, yes,
everything.
Be fully
Yes.
covered,
Yes.
What is it, 500,000 that you have to carry to drive them if you're hauling students?
300.
300.
You'd have to be very particular about driving.
Any further questions? Please call roll.
That's what I was thinking.
Caruso,
Aye.
Daniel,
Yes.
Dryden,
Yes.
Hartsfield,
Yes.
Jacobs,
Yes.
Nodder,
Yes.
Weathers,
Yes.
7 ayes.
Motion carries. I believe our next meeting will be April 27 at 5 o'clock. Is there anything further the board would like to add?
Mr. Mabry's in Nashville in the hospital.
Goodness gracious.
I talked with him today. He's doing well, but he'll be there another night.
Certainly pray for him for there. Any other further questions? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Do I have a second? Motion adjourned.